Alright guys, so I want to do a more unscripted video talking about the recent news that I discovered on Twitter today, and I wanted to hop on this as quick as I can. Basically, an image leaked from a early build of Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. It originated on 4chan, and then it was verified by Video Games Chronicle, which is the article I have pulled up, and I will put it in the description. I wanted to hop on this really quickly, and this will be a more unscripted video, but it's something I've been interested in recently, and it's sort of the reason I didn't get Gotham Knights either. This is just another game that I'm probably not going to get. It's sad because a lot of my channel is based off of DC content. It's based off of Batman related stuff, and you'd think I'd be excited that there's going to be two huge DC AAA games in a row, and I'm not, because it's not just the name or the relation that sells a game to me. Like, I actually want the game to be good. So this just proves to me that it's not going to be a game I'm interested in, and I'll explain in a bit, but let's go down and look at this image that I have on screen right now. It just when I saw this, I immediately sighed, because it has the same UI, just absolute nightmare of the growing, evolving monetization of the games industry has created this. It's like UI is meant to be this, it's user experience, so it's supposed to help the user. It's readable, but the monetization scheme of a lot of these games, the UI takes a different approach. It's confusing, and I think some of that is actually on purpose. As you can see in this game, it has the usual stuff. I'm guessing this is like a multiplayer menu, or it could even be the main menu. But as Video Games Chronicles talks about, basically there's a battle pass. There seems to be some kind of currency that is earned through XP, like, you know, your usual battle pass type of game. There's a couple currencies up there. I'm sure there's going to be a store. Yep, there's a store at the top where you could probably buy this currency, and they'll probably have skins for like 400 of these credits, and then they'll have a pack that you have to buy that's 405 credits. So you'll have to basically buy the pack above or whatever. That's just how they do it. I do want to link a video in the description that sort of talks about this idea that I watched recently, and sort of immediately picked up on this when I saw the screenshot. The video basically goes into detail. It's like a 40-minute long video, if you have the patience for that. It goes into detail about the evolution of monetization in the games industry, and how literally starting at the arcades, starting at the first games, the first monetized games, up until what we have now, and the monetization has evolved into a more confusing, manipulative, basically habit-based system. So before, it was very fair. You knew what you were buying with an arcade machine, or even games in the early 2000s. You knew what you were buying. You get a console, you buy the game, that's it. And in my time, I had DLCs and stuff, and I actually really liked DLCs. I thought they were also a fair sort of transaction to put in the game. But recently, you're getting into more confusing stuff. You're getting into more habit-based stuff, where they hire psychologists to create a habit, so that even when the game is bad, you'll keep going back to it because you develop this habit, this addiction to whatever multiplayer game you're into. This is what this game's trying to do, and you can see it. This UI that looks very similar to Gotham Knights, and very similar to something like Modern Warfare 2. And if you've seen that UI, it is a freaking nightmare. It looks like you're opening up Netflix or something. Now, I know some of you, this stuff kind of goes past you, like, this is your normal, especially if you're younger, and I'm pretty young, but like, you're used to this stuff. You're like, I play games that have this type of main menu, it's whatever, I don't really care, and that's fine. But I just hope that you're aware of why that's there. I hope you're aware of how the games industry has evolved into that, and that it's not always been this way. Of course, there's always been problems in the games industry. Of course, there's always been abuse of systems and abuse of the workers and stuff like that. But the monetization, the games industry used to be, you make a good game and you sell that. And to some degree, especially in the indie scene today, which I will say the indie scene is probably the best it's ever been, but the AAA space is the most manipulative it's ever been, the most confusing it's ever been, and the most redundant it's ever been. And it's natural for an industry to turn into this. It's how the film industry is. And I just hope you're aware of this. I hope that you're aware of the system you're going into. For me personally, And if you want to play this game, that's cool, that's fine. But for me personally, I just want a game. I don't want this stuff. Like, I like multiplayer games. Like, I was one of the few people that liked Batman Arkham Origins multiplayer. And of course I hated the loot boxes, and of course I hated the credits. I never even touched those things. But the gameplay, even though it was a little clunky, it was the first multiplayer Batman thing we ever had. And I was super excited. And I played it up until it was disconnected from Xbox One servers. Trying to find a lobby took like 30 minutes or more to find a lobby. With my friends sitting there waiting for some other person. There would only be 20 people playing in the entire world on our servers. So like, I'm here with the multiplayer games. It's not the problem that's multiplayer. Even Arkham Origins had that problem. This is an even more evolved version of that problem. I just want a game. I just want an experience. I don't want to have to buy a full price game and then there be another layer of monetization on top of that. I somewhat get a free-to-play game, but this, I don't think this is going to be a free-to-play game. It has a campaign, it has all that stuff. I'm tired of it. I don't want to buy this. It makes Gotham Knights look even better, actually, because Gotham Knights doesn't have this type of monetization. This isn't going to be that. It's going to be your usual 4-player co-op type of game that is introducing a battle pass into a game that you can play single player, which is very bizarre to me. Another thing is that this is an unoriginal setup. It's not like, it's hard for me to believe that Rocksteady went, yes, let's go with this 4-player co-op game, and it coincidentally lined up with this type of monetization scheme. That's not how it works. Some shareholders, some board at WB was like, guys, this is your option. This is what you can do. And Suicide Squad is a franchise that is rising, especially in the film sphere. You guys should make that. I remember Sefton Hill talking about a Superman game, and of course they didn't make a Superman game. How do you monetize a Superman game? I'm sure they could figure it out, but it's not as easy as monetizing a 4-player co-op game. This trend of 4-player co-op type of games, I know we have Redfall recently. I know there was that Left 4 Dead type of Back 4 Blood. There's a ton of these 4-player co-op games that are doing this type of stuff, and I think Gotham Knights is going to evolve more into that. Gotham Knights probably isn't this way because they just didn't have time to do that. They only had time to make the experience, and now they're sort of adding that stuff. Now they're adding that new game mode that's like an arcade mode where you fight waves of enemies and do these different modes and stuff and unlock different skins and stuff. Now it might evolve into that, but they just didn't have time. What I'm trying to say here is, I know this is a leaked image, I know this early build, but this shows me the intent of the game. I don't need to see the final game, and I know I'm a stickler, and I'm going to talk about this in another video. Actually, I'm going to talk about Andor soon, but yeah, I'm a stickler. I'm sorry if you don't really agree with that, but I really feel like consumers in the game industry and in the film industry have so much power to change stuff like this. Like, I just don't get how people look at this menu and say, this is fine, this is cool. It's like, it's gonna get even worse than this. I can't do that personally. I'm not gonna try to judge those people. I'm sure many of my subscribers play games like this, and that's fine. It's just, for me personally, I try to stay away from this stuff because I find that me not giving them money is the most effect I can possibly have. My opinion on if I bought this game and I gave my review of the game, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what I say in my review. It doesn't matter if I complain about this stuff. I bought the game, so that's all they care about. When the sales go down, then they'll start caring about what people thought of the game, what the reviews are and stuff. At the end of the day, like, I care about the developers, I care about Rocksteady, but this isn't what they don't choose this stuff, okay? It's WB. They told them what to do here. This is no disrespect at the developers, it's no disrespect at the developers of Gotham Knights either. This is just how the AAA space is. This is how you make the most money. And unfortunately, the reason that this exists is because people buy it. And that's unfortunate, and personally, I just want to stay away from this. It really sucks. I just want a game. Like, I'm thankful that God of War exists. Like, I'm not into that series, but I'm thankful that God of War, Horizon Zero Dawn, I have my issues with those games, but at least they're like an experience. You know, that's it. There might be some DLC and like maybe some skins or whatever, but like that's it. You just buy the game and you're done. I'm glad that that is still a thing in the AAA space, but the people who make those games realize they could be making so much more money. You know, making a single player game where you buy the game and you're done, that's literally you losing out. It sucks that like the two recent games that I've been waiting years for, like years for in the DC space, it happens to be these games. And they gotta learn something. I'm not sure exactly how the sales went on Gotham Knights. I'm not sure how exactly the sales are gonna go on this game. But I hope that they learn and make a game that's for people who just want a single player game, or even a co-op game. Like, I'm fine with a co-op game, but just not like this. I don't want a battle pass in my 4-player campaign co-op game. That's just so like overdone. I don't want the battle passes. I don't want any of that stuff. I just want a game that I can play with my friends, and that's it. I just want to be done with that. I don't want to be too negative, but this is my thoughts on this. Tell me what you guys think of this. I've seen a lot of people on Twitter also having complaints about it, and so like I understand if some people think we're overreacting or whatever, but you just got to understand that a lot of people are tired of this stuff. Like, I'm just so adverse to stuff like Modern Warfare 2, these AAA games that are redundant and sort of basically suck the monetization cycle dry. They do it over and over and over again, and then once someone else creates a new monetization scheme that is manipulative and habit-based, they leech on that, and then they put it in their game, and then the cycle continues for another 5 years. All I'm saying here is if you don't like that type of stuff, if you want games that are more than that and focus solely on making a good game instead of sidetracking that goal and focusing on monetization also, then just don't buy this type of stuff. Build up the will to be able to skip stuff like this. I'm a huge Batman fan, and I skipped out on Gotham Knights. And I made a mistake. Like, a long time ago, I said I was sold on Gotham Knights because I believe the developers. And it's just not a game for me. Thankfully, the monetization is not like as bad as this at all. But it's another game where it's a whole different discussion on the kind of redundant tropes they have used in that game and the limitation on the scope of the game. But I can talk about that in a future video.